Welcome to the channel. My name is Heath. Today we're looking at Diablo 4. My first impressions of it. As someone that's played Diablo 1, 2, and 3, I think I have a very unique perspective a lot of times on this game. My likes and dislikes, we'll talk about it inside of the video. Being that way, let's not waste any time. Jump into the video and let's check out my first impressions of Diablo 4. I have to say, as a Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 3 player, Diablo 4, I think, touches on a lot of the really good things that you find in all three of the previous games. Storyline on this game so far has been extremely well written, really well done. The animation scenes between each segment for the storyline is really good as well. It brings in some of the aspects that I like from Diablo 3. There are some really good aspects of Diablo 4 that were brought in from Diablo 3. The UI, for example, is one thing that was brought in from Diablo 3. It can be a little bit sleeker. I'm not really fond of the way the bottom of the UI looks with the numbers listed for each skill 1, 2, 3, 4, left click, mouse click. I think that could be done a lot better than what it currently is. But overall, the game itself, even in beta, is really polished. I mean, it's very similar to the layout of Diablo 3, but there are some Diablo 2 aspects as well. I like the way the action is handled in the game. I like the way the fighting is done in the game. Necromancer has always been one of my favorite classes from its first introduction in Diablo 2. In Diablo 3, that's the primary class. I was actually a little bit disappointed when Diablo 3 first came out that there was no Necromancer. The actual skill tree layout inside of Diablo 4, I'm not extremely crazy about. It reminds me of a lot of different games like Path of Exile, things like that. You zoom out, you can see, where each pathway leads you, and where it stretches out inside of the actual ability tree. Each one requires a certain amount of points to break through to the next section, and then you choose certain abilities and available options for that section as well. I think it can be done a little bit different. I'm not a fan of this type of skill tree in games, but I mean it does work, and it does have an easy layout to look at it. One thing I will say about the game, the mapping system is done extremely well. This is the current layout of where I need to go. You've got different hubs. You've got all your waypoints shown on the map. I really enjoy this map system like this. Diablo 3's map system I was not crazy about, but this is much more user friendly. It's much more intuitive. It gives you all the points of interest that you need to know about. You can zoom out, zoom in, just like you would on, a normal game map. There are some things I find fault with inside of the game as far as layout goes. Overall, I think Blizzard had done a really good job overall in the way that Diablo 4 has been set up. One issue I do have is the way of quest tracking, the way it's done. Quest tracking, you can only track one quest at a time. I kind of wish it was more like a World of Warcraft tracking system where you can put all of your quests in a row in the quest log and, work your way through each one and just work your way down the list. With this one here, you can only track one at a time. So as you can see, you see the points of interest inside of there, the different quests, options, where you need to go and things like that. But, you still have to go back into the quest log, track that quest, for it to actually pop up on your screen. If you want to track a different quest from the quest log, all you have to do is just click on it and it will bring it up inside of your quest log, and you can track it or untrack it that way, or shift click or something like that. Similar to the way the World of Warcraft is done. But yeah, I mean, just minor things I think they can improve on inside of Diablo 4. User interface, the sleekness of the user interface, how it functions, not having it lifted up from the bottom and things like that. But let's jump away from this, from the actual town interface, and let's do a little battle and see how things go there. So here's a little quick battle right here. I'm currently using Blight and things like that. Corpse Explosion is just absolutely overpowered for Necromancer. The Necromancers are really, really strong. I've noticed I've only played the Sorceress and the Necromancer so far, but I will say this, there are certain skills on the Sorceress side of things, Chain Lightning and Hydra, you can just absolutely wipe the floor pretty much of anything inside of the game. And they can pretty much clear out a lot of things solo by themselves. But here we are, as I said, inside of a dungeon. Battles are pretty straightforward, Diablo 2 like, Diablo 3 like. You can do like this. You left click, drop our Blight. We got Corpse Explosion on this character. Spell animation is done extremely well. The game itself looks really, really nice. I actually like the style of artwork they've used inside of Diablo 4 versus what they did in Diablo 3 and even in the remastered version of Diablo 2 as well. But the game itself looks really, really good. Skill setup is done almost identical to the way Diablo 3 it was done. But again, it's really a really nice function, really nice feature. I will say it for I will say it first that some of the boss fights were a little bit difficult. I fought a really large skeleton boss the other night in one of the dungeons. I died multiple times at the start. The actual boss fight was difficult until I figured out exactly what I needed to do, where I needed to stand at, things like that. But once I got it under control, it was relatively simple. It was not super simple that you just push through it like inside of Diablo 3, but it was difficult enough that made it challenging and it also made it fun. And there was that bit of difficulty to it as well. But again, I mean, they've done a really good job, I think, so far on Diablo 4. I know some other people are not happy with it and things like that. But for me personally, having been a player for Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, and now Diablo 4, I find the game very intuitive. There are some minor things that I don't like about the game, user interface being one of them. The ability to track more than one quest at a time. The mini map is really nice in the top hand side. That is one big thing for me right there, the mini map in the top, instead of the little map overlay like in Diablo 2. But again, this game is just looking really good so far. Once they polish it up, we've still got until June, I believe, is when the actual release date for the game is. We're still in open beta, so a lot of things can change between now and then. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Diablo 4 works out once we get to things like end game and the Paragon abilities and things like that. Again, Paragon abilities coming in from Diablo 3. There are a lot of really heavy influences, as I said, from Diablo 3 into this game. But there are some minor things from Diablo 2 as well that you will notice if you play Diablo 2 at all. But if you never played Diablo 2, you have nothing for comparison, so don't worry about it. But my final thoughts on this are Diablo 4 is working out really nice. I really enjoyed playing it for the past 2 weekends. Like I said, I only played the Sorceress and Necromancer, which are two of my favorite classes. Like I said, I'm not a really big fan of the way the skill tree is laid out, but it's not a make or break thing inside of Diablo 4. I mean, it is a personal preference when it comes down to it. A lot of players from like Path of Exile and other games like that, will go to it right away, have no issue. But for me personally, like I said, that's not a big fan of that. And a few other minor things inside the game. But overall, I think Blizzard has done a really good job with Diablo 4. I think they've taken some of the things that we, enjoyed from Diablo 3 and added those into Diablo 4. And I think there are some elements from Diablo 2 that we can notice as well. So let me give you a summary of what I like, what I don't like about the game. That way you can make your own decision about what you like about the game as well. Overall, I like the feel of the game. I like the fighting, the game style, the scenes, the story mode is really great. The setup for the stories is really great as well. It's very linear, I guess you could say. Point A, point B, go here, go there. The actual abilities that the characters have, like the Sorceress, the Necromancer, as I said, those are the only ones I played. But I have seen play from the Barbarian, Rogue, and other ones as well. And they're very similar as well. It makes it easy to pick up a character. Even if you've never played a Diablo game before, you can start off from scratch. Makes it very intuitive. So if you're coming to Diablo 4 as a new player, it's going to be easy for you to pick the game up and just start off right off the bat and just have a good time playing the game. There are different difficulty modes that make it easier. So you can play the easier mode if you want to do that, just to get a feel for what the game is like. And then you can advance later on into the more difficult modes as you level up. I noticed one thing then when I was playing the Sorceress that just like on Diablo 2, the Sorceress was really hard early on when you're first getting into the game, but once you get the skills picked up, it makes the game a little bit more smoother and a little bit more easier for characters like that. Necromancer right out the door, I think is much, much easier than it was in Diablo 3. Even easier in Diablo than the Diablo 2. And you're getting your skeletons right off the bat, makes things go much smoother for you. Fights can be difficult, but once you learn the mechanics for the boss fight, it makes things much easier. Like I said, I died quite a few times to one boss. Got a little bit frustrated, but once I picked up the mechanics for that boss fight, made things so much easier. A few of the things I do have issue with is the user interface. I don't like the way it's laid out at the bottom. I mean, you got your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. The user interface is lifted up from the edge of the screen. I think that could be done much more concisely. So, like I said, I mean, this is open beta. There's still time to changes, things like that. The mini map is really done really well. My this personal issue that I have is just with the skill tree way it's laid out. I personally am not a fan of skill tree design like this, but again, that is a personal thing. Other people would have no issue with it whatsoever. Characters done really well. The game itself is done really well. Minimap system is really nice also. So far, I have no real major complaint with Diablo 4 as a whole. Again, it does feel really a lot like in Diablo 3 in the way the game style is done, the way the fights are done, but artwork overall, it reminds me more of Diablo 2. I like the way the overall game system works. The questing, again, major issue I do have is the way you can only track one quest at a time. You don't have the ability to easily switch between quests without going through your quest log. Going in here, pressing Q, open up your request, choosing a different quest, and then tabbing back out to get outside of it. But I mean, these are minor things that that can be easily addressed as well. I wish it was more, like I said, more of a feel like World of Warcraft. But overall, I'm really enjoying this game. It's a great game. I cannot wait for the actual full release. See what final touches they do to it. These are my final thoughts on Diablo 4. I can't wait for the full release. We'll see what changes they bring about to the game in the next few months before we actually get the full release of the game. But I hope you enjoyed this little review. Let me know, are you playing Diablo 4? What do you like best about the game? Do you have any issues with the game? And if you do, what are they? And what do you think Blizzard can do to improve upon them? But I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you take something from my perspective of Diablo 4 as a original Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and Diablo 3 player. But look forward to seeing you in the next one. And until then, much love, peace out, and we'll see you soon.